This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 1400, The One Learning Technique That Scared the Shit Out of Bruce Lee, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Friday. Welcome to the podcast where I simply read blogs to you for free, covering personal growth and self-help topics like mindfulness, minimalism, self-care, meditation, and a lot more. 1,400 episodes worth. You know, someone told me somewhat recently that their favorite episode of all time was episode 900, and I couldn't even remember what that was for a second until I looked it up. It's where I decided I'd play my bloopers from this show, and my mom also said she really liked that episode. That was exactly 500 episodes ago, so why not do it again? So make sure to stick around all the way to the end to hear the bloopers. Who knows how many bloopers there will be. I've already had some so far. And speaking of liking episodes, if you like any of them, I'd greatly appreciate you sharing this show with someone and getting them to subscribe. It'd mean a lot. Another quick announcement. I mentioned this in my weekly newsletter, but didn't get a huge response, so I could really use your help. It would mean a lot. I've been wanting to answer your questions relating to the stuff I narrate here, like personal development, habits, procrastination, happiness, relationships, all that stuff. I'm not an expert in it, even having narrated 1,400 articles, but I found a professional who wants to help, life coach Greg Audino. He's a great guy, and we want to answer some questions that you would ask a life coach. So sending in an audio question is the preferred method. It would sound better that way, but we'll take email questions too, and then put those on a podcast, maybe even this one. So to send in a question, come by oldpodcast.com/questions. That's to send in an audio question. You can also come by oldpodcast.com and just email me if you don't want your voice on it. But if you do the audio method and we use it on the show, I'll mail you a book for free. So again, to do that, come by oldpodcast.com/questions. Or again, oldpodcast.com to send me an email. It would mean a lot. I really want to help answer some of those questions for you while also getting listeners to hear the questions and answers and benefit from that too. So thank you so much for doing that. It means a lot. And with that, let's get right to episode 1400 and start optimizing your life. The One Learning Technique That Scared the Shit Out of Bruce Lee, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. Once a week, I crush my 13-year-old at tennis until she cries. I feel I only have a 1 or 2 year window to do this, then she'll conquer and destroy and laugh at me. So give me my chance. Sometimes I hit the ball as hard as possible so she can't run fast enough with her tiny legs. Other times I aim straight at her so the ball either hits her, ow, or she has to jump out of the way. Sometimes she yells, "I hate tennis," and then she starts to cry. I don't know why, but when we get to that point, I feel happy because then I can comfort her. Some people have told me, let the kid win sometimes. I don't like to do that. When my dad used to do that to me, I could tell. I'd throw the racket at him, or I'd throw the pieces off the chessboard. I was 21 years old. There's 2 ways to learn, passively and aggressively. Passively is when you study your mistakes, read the history of what you are learning, network, find your tribe, find a mentor, etc. Aggressively is right when you are in the middle of it. You're neck deep and the ball is coming at you. What do? Passively is in your head. Aggressively is noticing right now and taking action. In your head is important, but action is what creates heroes. One time I was thrown right into the middle of a huge multi-million line software project. We were programming Time Warner's interactive TV experiment in Orlando. Now everyone just turns on their Apple TV and starts streaming. Think of this as the first version of that. I had no clue what I was doing and I had to learn fast or be fired. In my arrogance, I suggested to my boss that Time Warner should use the internet to deliver video to customer homes. This was in 1994. My boss said, "James, the internet is great for academics, but these cable guys know what they're doing. Trust that they know better than you." So I had to learn all of these programming techniques very fast or I would be fired. That ended up helping me for many years after. Another time I was CEO of a company that was about to miss payroll. I would wake up in the middle of the night adding up numbers to see if we would make it, if we would survive, if I would survive. I had never sold anything in my life. I had to learn how to be a salesman very quickly or we wouldn't meet payroll. I don't know if I did a very good job at it, but I had to learn very fast, so at least I wouldn't be bad at it. I'm still learning. In the past 30 years of teaching people and also learning things under pressure, I found 4 aggressive techniques to learn something very quickly. Here they are. The Bruce Lee technique. Bruce Lee said, quote, "I don't fear the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times," end quote. Molly was having trouble using her backhand to return a serve, so I bought 200 tennis balls and had her stand on the left side of the court. I served 200 times to the left side of the left box, over and over. We didn't rally. As soon as she hit back, I served the next ball, maybe a little harder or with more spin. She returned maybe 5% of them and started crying. "I'm horrible," she said. "Don't worry," I told her. "Your brain is what learned today, but your body learns when you sleep." So yesterday we did it again. Now she returned about 60% of the balls. She was smiling the whole time. "I got better," she said. "Don't worry," I told her. "You're going to get worse also. Don't be sad when you fail and be happy when you succeed. Both are going to happen again and again at every new level." If we had just played games, she never would have gotten enough experience using her backhand to return a serve. Now she's learning what she needs to learn. When I was learning chess, my instructor would put 2 pawns and a rook on the board versus his rook and told me to try and beat him. Then he put the 2 pawns in a different part of the board, then a different part of the board. For 4 hours, just 2 pawns and a rook versus a rook. Did I learn how to win with a rook and 2 pawns? Maybe, but I also learned a little more about the subtleties of what a rook is good for, or which pawns might be ever so slightly more important than other pawns, or the power of the king when few pieces are on the board, or the power of my brain calculating many moves ahead when only a few pieces are on the board. Sunlight doesn't just hit you. When you open the window, the sunlight hits everything in your house. When you open the window of learning, you don't learn just a specific thing you are trying to see. You begin to see everything that is now lit. The real art is paying attention to all of the things you can now see, now that the sunlight is pouring in. When I dropped Molly off, she said, "I had fun." And she said, "I love you, Daddy." I woke up at 1 in the morning last night and I had an idea for a post. I reached for my pad and pen, but I fell out of bed and onto the floor. Ow! The pad was gone. So I went downstairs and typed the 4 parts of the post into the computer. It was about 4 techniques for aggressive learning. I wrote down the techniques and sent it to myself via email. What I wrote down? Bruce Lee technique, Tony Robbins technique, the modify technique, and coach your future self. I sort of forget now what the 4th one means, and I've already taken up enough space with the first one, so I'll do the other 3 some other time, maybe. When you have an idea, you have to write it down immediately. I usually say, "I'll remember in the morning." Not once in my life have I remembered anything in the morning. Even now, I don't fully remember what I meant, and I have the email right in front of me. When you get a mental download, you have to save it, write it, teach it to someone else as quickly as possible, else you will forget it. For instance, many people write to me and say, "I can't remember anything I read in a book." That's natural. You have to read it, then teach it to someone else. Then the next day, teach it to someone else. That's the only way to learn what is in the book. After serving another 200 times to Molly yesterday, I don't really care whether she learned or not. I love you, Daddy. All I know is, by the time we were done, I learned how to serve better. You just listened to the post titled "The One Learning Technique That Scared the Shit Out of Bruce Lee" by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. And really quick reminder, please send me any life questions you have relating to personal development, minimalism, pretty much any kind of topic you'd hear on this show or that a certified life coach would help you answer. If you send in an audio question and it's answered, you'll get a book of your choice directly from me. It'd mean a lot if you could send one in or more. Send a couple if you want. I haven't seen many come in yet. Just come by oldpodcast.com/questions to send in an audio question. Or technically, you can just message me with a question too, but that's a little less fun. You can get in contact at oldpodcast.com. But again, the preferred method would be an audio question. It's really easy to do through your computer or phone. Just go to oldpodcast.com/questions. All right, I'll keep my outro here short because I have some bloopers for you. This will be an interesting set, and that celebrates 1,400 episodes of this show. I hope you enjoy them. I know my mom and friend will. And if you do like it also, sharing the episode or podcast will be greatly appreciated. I want to have a great weekend if you're listening in real time. A happy Friday, and I'll catch you over the weekend where your optimal life awaits. Covering personal growth and self-help topics like minimalism. No. You know, someone told me somewhat recently that their favorite episode of all time was episode 900. And that might not be familiar to you, but where am I going with this? The one learning technique that scared the The one learning technique that scared the why is that so hard to say? The one learning technique that's, geez. Once a week I crush my 13-year-old at tennis until she cries. Oh, that's terrible. Once a week I crush my 13-year-old at tennis until she cries. Sometimes she yells, "I hate tennis," and then she starts to cry. I don't know why, but when we get to that point, I feel happy. What? Oh man, James, you sound like a terrible person. One time I was thrown right into the middle of a huge multi-million line software. One time I was thrown right into the middle of a huge multi-million lines in the project. So I had to learn all of these programming techniques very fast or I would be fired. That ended up helping me for many years after. So I bought 200 tennis balls and had her stand on the left side of the court. I served 200 times to the left side of the left box. Is that right? When I was learning chess, my instructor would put 2 pawns and a rook on the board versus his rook. When you open the window of learning, you don't learn just Tony Robbins technique, the modify technique, coach your future self. I sort of forget now what the fourth one means, and I've already taken up enough space with this first one, and I've already taken up enough space with the first one, so I've already taken up enough space with the first one, so geez. After serving other 200 times to Molly yesterday? Oh, another. You just listened to the post titled "The One Learning Technique That Scared the Choo-Choo-Boo." That celebrates 1,400 episodes of this show. I hope you enjoy them. I know my mom and friend will. And if you do like it also, sometimes I hit the ball as hard as possible so she can't run fast enough with her tiny legs. Sometimes I hit the ball as hard as possible. Jeez. But I found a professional who wants to help, life coach Greg Audino. Greggles! Let's not do that. Let's cut that out.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.